just for you.
From the nation capital, Monrovia. Good afternoon. Welcome to King's Newsroom. King's Newsroom is a 45 minutes of news from Liberia, Africa, and the world alike. Today is Tuesday, February 10th. The year means 2026. I am Marvin Via anchoring this presentation. First, we look at story tapping the headlines. Former President George Weah re-echoed calls for national unity, discouraged political division among citizens. Environmental Protection Agency team as major hydrologic accident spelled in Jokolai, Bon County EPA Executive Director Dr. Emmanuel Yuri-Paulo says it poses no long-term environmental and ground risks. High Command of Armed Forces of Liberia raises serious concerns over national legislature lack of budgetary allocation for the recruitment of personnel. AFL Chief of Staff Major General Davison Fala calls for collective measure to enhance Ministry of National Defense 600 personnel recruit yearly. And wait for home. A rubber boat carrying 55 passengers, including 2 babies, have overturned off the coast of Libya, the UN Immigration Agency says. Detail of the news bulletin, voices of the news maker are all packaged for today's presentation. We take a very short break to be right back and bring you the news bulletin. Welcome back. We now join Kwame Brand for King's News Bulletin.
Former Liberian President George Weah has renewed calls for national unity as a means of preserving peace and promoting national development. According to the former president, time is now for citizens, including political actors, to come together and place the country's interests above personal and partisan considerations. He noted that political divisions have brought no meaningful benefit to the nation, but instead contributed to painful and turbulent past marked by loss of lives and the destructions of critical infrastructure. Former President Weah emphasized that years of civil unrest forced many Liberians to flee the country in search of refuge, resulting in the loss of dignity and stability for many citizens. The political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change, FEB, stated that throughout his career, he has consistently championed the cause of sustaining national peace, a commitment he said is reflected in his role as former United Nations Peace Ambassador. The Environmental Protection Agency of Liberia has termed the hydrochloric acid spill reported near Morningsweet town in the Jokola District Number 2, the Bon County, as minor. According to the EPA, the spill was being properly contained and poses no long-term environmental or underwater risks, announcing that a FIGHT findings and environmental assessment has been completed following public concerns over the incident. The agency's executive director, Dr. Emmanuel Yuri Yapawulu, narrated that the spill occurred on January 18, 2026, after the truck transporting hydrochloric acid for MNG Gold Liberia got involved in a vehicular incident, resulting in a spill of about 40 liters. The hard command of the Armed Forces of Liberia has raised serious concerns about the 2026 national budget. According to the command, the national legislature did not allow any money in the national budget for recruiting of personnel of the Armed Forces of Liberia for this year. AFL Chief of Staff Major General Division Foley, however, appealed to the members of the national legislature to take collective measures to enable the ministries of national defense achieving its 5-year strategic plans of recruiting 600 AFL personnel every year. The government of Liberia has broken ground for the construction of the USD 3.2 million 10th Judicial Circuit Court complex in the Vonjo and Lofa County. Speaking during the ceremony, Vice President Jeremiah Kunti described the rule of law as foundations of democracy, noting that democratic governance cannot survive where the rule of law is weak or undermined. He stressed government's responsibility in accelerating the construction of judicial infrastructures nationwide, noting that strong and independent courts are essential to sustaining peace, justice, and democratic stability. Vice President Kuhn also acknowledged the significant role of the national legislature in strengthening the judiciary, pointing out appropriations of funding. That's funding. He further described the presence of the Deputy Speaker at the ceremony as the legislature's support for the justice setup, suggesting that regular budgetary allocations would allow the country to construct several judicial complexes across the nation each year. In another development, Chief Justice Yami Gbese has accused Augustine Yesia, commonly known as Prophet Kid, for directly attacking the Supreme Court. He warned that Chief Justice's comments comes hours ahead of the court summon of Prophet Key. He warned about limits of free expression and the legal consequences of attacking the integrity of the nation's highest court. The Chief Justice noted that the authority and dignity of the Supreme Court must be respected at all times, adding that laws provide clear remedies when members of the full bench are publicly insulted or accused without supporting evidence. He disclosed that Prophet Key has, in recent publicly accused him of corruption and subjected him to personal insult allegations the court maintains are unsupported by evidence. The Ministries of National Defense, in collaboration with the United Nations Women, has officially launched the EdSeed Initiative Fund project aimed at increasing the enlistment of women to meet the 15% in the armed forces of Liberia. Speaking at the launching ceremony, National Defense Minister, that's Caroline George, disclosed that the project values $663,700 United States dollars will last for 2 years. Minister George added that the project would provide a timely and strategic opportunity to remove barriers that women normally encounter when they decide to join the armed forces of Liberia. Delivering the keynote speech at the program, the representative of District Normal Sisibon County, Moima Brice Mensah, encouraged young women to take advantage of the initiative by joining the AFL. The Coalition for Democratic Change 2023 campaign spokesperson, Councillor Kainio Bala, has dismissed media reports suggesting that he resigned from the party. Councillor Bala, who was recently appointed by President Joseph Boakai to serve on the board of Grand Jida University following months of his public defense of the United Party-led administration, said he remained a member of the CDC. Speaking Monday on OK FM, he characterized the information as fabricated and intended to create division between him and his political institution. Councillor Bala also threatened legal action against individuals he accused of being responsible for forging and disseminating the information. As part of memorialization, deceased warlord and Professor Ahaji G.V. Krumah, the All Liberians Coalition Party has announced national memorial activities at its national headquarters. According to the party, on Wednesday, hundreds of Liberians will be gathering at its headquarters to celebrate its founding fathers' contributions to education and peace in the country. Professor Haji Viji Krumah, who passed on January 18, 2022, was a Liberian journalist, a politician, and warlord. He co-founded the United Liberation Movement of Liberia and for Democracy, that's ULIMO, and led one of its faction, ULIMO K, during the First Liberian Civil War. Professor contested the 1997 and 2005 presidential election, representing the All Liberia Coalition Party, but lost both times. The family of Rachel Kotu, a 26-year-old woman who was allegedly murdered by her boyfriend in the Soul Clinic community, has announced a USD 1,500 bond for anyone knowing the whereabouts of the accused boyfriend. Edwin Moriva, also known as Bamba Ron, was accused of killing Rachel, his fiancée and mother of his two children, on January 26, 2026 in the Soul Clinic community. Family members also wants the Liberian National Police to intensify efforts to ensure justice is served. The Ministry of Education has announced an investigation into the social media video displaying a musical performance involving students of St. Teresa Convent and Liberian sensational hip-hop rapper Christophe Nyankan, popularly known as Christophe the Change. The video shared on several online platforms has sparked public debate, drawing reactions from several government officials, ordinary Liberians, including music enthusiasts. The Ministry of Education, in a statement issued over the weekend, described the content of the performance as inappropriate for minors and raised serious child safeguarding concerns. According to the statement, the Ministry of Education is verifying the circumstances under which the event took place. The statement added that the investigation would determine whether the performance was authorized by the school administration and examine the roles of other parties involved. Meanwhile, the management of the Liberian hip-hop rapper Christophe Dachinch has issued a public apology following the athlete's recent performance at Convent Catholic School in Monrovia. The musical performance, which video has gone viral on social media, has been criticized by the Ministry of Education, terming it as inappropriate. In a statement issued following the public condemnations, Monday, the Liberian hip-hop rapper to its management team said they have taken full responsibility of the incident. And the World Foundation International Multi-Purpose Agriculture Cooperative has launched its Operation Feed the Nation, a nationwide agriculture farmers initiative. As the program held under the theme Transforming Agriculture from Subsistence Farming into a Nation Enterprise, highlighted focus on local food production, youth employment, and economic independence, was launched on Friday. Speaking on behalf of President Joseph Boakai, Deputy Minister for Public Affairs at the Ministry of State, Anthony Kessley, described agriculture as a cornerstone of Liberia's inclusive growth agenda. Minister Kessley praised the resilience of Liberian farmers, acknowledging the years of struggle marked by limited access to inputs, infrastructure, and markets.
Kwame Bryant's King's News Bulletin is a reminder that you are listening to a 45 minutes of news from Liberia, Africa, and the world. Story we are following this afternoon: former President George Weah re-echoed calls for national unity, discourages political division among citizens. Environmental Protection Agency termed as Manon Hatripuria axis pill in Jokulai, Bon County. EPA Executive Director Dr. Emmanuel Ure Yapahulu says it poses no long-term environmental and water does grant water rates. Higher commands of armed forces of Liberia raises serious concern over national legislation, lack of budgetary allocation for the recruitment of personnel. AFL Chief of Office, that's Chief of Staff Major General Davidson Fuller, calls for collective measures to enhance Ministry of National Defense 600 personnel recruit yearly. Away from home, a rubber boat carrying 55 passengers, including 2 babies, have overturned off the coast of Libya. The United Nations Migration Agency says. We'll take a very short break to bring you voices of the newsmaker. Welcome back to this first development. Former Liberian President George Weah has renowned calls for national unity as a means of preserving peace and promoting national development. According to the former president, time is now for citizens, including political actors, to come together and place the country interest above personal and partisan consideration. He noted that political division have brought no meaningful benefit to the country, but instead contributed to a painful and turbulent past marked by loss of lives and the destruction of critical infrastructure. Former Liberian President Weah emphasized that year of civil unrest forces many Liberians to flee to countries in search of refuge, insulting in the loss of dignity and stability of many citizens.
We are all one family. I got aunties from Lofa County. I got uncles from Grand Gile. I got sisters from Maryland, Sastan, Grand Bassett. My family big. And I show all of you, you can see that we are one family in a small country. So we got to treat each other good. Remember when we decided that the politics would divide us? Who can tell me what happened? What happened? War, right? War. And when we went to refugee camp, everybody that tested that camp, do we want to go back there? No. Because the camp will take away your dignity, your respect, your love for people. So let us be one family. I'll tell you something funny happened the other day. A little girl tested me. Oh, my school fee not pay. I said, okay, what can I do? Oh, our daddy, you know, the school fee is good. I said, okay, what can I do? I said, okay, send me all your CDC, send me all your CDC hat and t-shirt. It took 3 days to send it to me. She can send it. Then I took a picture and sent it to a friend. I said, the person that your friend, check. Who are they? I saw a picture, she all a unity partisan in the street. So I sent it to her. I said, are you there? She said, oh daddy, yeah, you know, that time where, but Please forgive me for God's sake. So we'll do a lot of things for God's sake. Whether you're a unity partisan or you're sedition. That's why in our government, we all work together. I said something on the Facebook. One official of government, I sent a message to him. I said, you don't need to speak like that. Because when you are in opposition, remember you're asking for food, you're asking for food, you're asking for everything. So when the children are calling you, do the same.
He is former Liberian President George Weah speaking at the survey at the Faith Life Ministry in Monrovia. To this development, the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) of Liberia has termed the hydrochloric acid spilled reported near Money Sweet Town in Jacolai district to Bon County as manner. According to EPA, the spill has been properly contained and poses no long-term environmental or groundwater risks, announcing that a fact-finding and environmental assessment has been completed following public concern over the incident. The agency executive director, Dr. Emmanuel Yakpawulu, narrated that the spill occurred on January 18, 2026, after a truck transporting the acid from MNG Gold Liberia got involved in a vehicle accident, resulting in a spill of about 40 liters.
That input or use hazardous chemicals must apply for chemical licenses and declare the types and quantities of chemicals they intend to input in the country annually. To ensure safe transportation and storage of these chemicals, the EPA certified hazardous use transporting companies. In all work, they are companies that specialize to do things for one place or another. We give us certification for that. In addition, the EPA has trained about 20 chemical handlers nationwide, whose responsibility is to escort hazardous chemicals during transportation. So we are training 20 global already. Their role is to escort from the port to the area of storage. These trainers travel in separate vehicles, positioned in front or behind chemical trucks. Transportation is normally conducted at night to avoid heavy traffic. These protocols were followed in this case. On the evening of January 17, 2026, 3 trucks belonging to a company called LRS Company. It is an EPA certified hazardous use transporting company. Were carrying hydrochloric acid for energy gold Liberia. So LRS is the company that was transporting these goods about 3 different trucks. That's what the 17, the email on the 17 in the part of the road. 2 EPA chemical handlers were employed to escort the convoy. They took 2 EPA staff. One truck developed mechanical problem relating to carbon emission, and one handler remained behind with that truck. So when one got a problem, one of the handlers stayed there because the supposed to be it, and one transported the other 2. The other 2 trucks continued to energy gold. Subsequently, a vehicular accident occurred near Money Sweet Town involving one of the remaining trucks. And the distance at which this happened is about 182 meters from the town. So the truck passed through the town while going there where the incident occurred. And that distance is about 182 meters from the town to that.
The higher command of the Armed Forces of Liberia has raised serious concern about the 2026 national budget. According to the command, the national legislature did not allot earned money in the national budget for recruitment of personnel at the Armed Forces of Liberia for this year. EFL Chief of Staff Major General Davison Foley, however, appealed to the members of the national legislature to take collective measures to enable the Ministry of National Defense achieving its 5-year strategies plans for recruiting 600 EFL personnel every year.
Today, our population is 5.something million, and we run a brigade size with other units in the military. That's a disconnect. It does not add up. It was against that background that Mr. President said there's a need for recruitment, vigorous recruitment. When Mr. President had this intent, so to me as Chief of Staff, it's a tax to me. And when I'm taxed through the Minister of National Defense from Mr. President, I come up with my mission statement. And my mission statement was clear, that we will recruit 600 every year. So my policy people put these beautiful documents together. It may interest you to know there has been no improvement for recruitment in this year's budget. It is sad to say that. But graciously, I work for the Commander-in-Chief. And he tells me that, yeah, there will be recruitment. So I know that some way, somehow, there will be some money somewhere. Please. Interestingly, we will not benefit from these monies if there is no recruitment. How do we benefit? Because recruitment must come. Then we go after the ladies, the females, then we can make use of this money. So there is no recruitment, no money. Liberia really benefited from this military thing when military came here and there was peace and everything was fine. So we had to reciprocate. That's how Liberia went to a FISMA with a platoon size, very small number, but they did not want a platoon size. So we had to go on a Nigeria. Can you imagine a whole country going on another country? That's why they made Nigeria our big brother. At some point, we had to stand by ourselves. So we had to be a company size, standing by ourselves, doing exceptionally well. Even at that level, we're too small to serve in the UN. We're challenged. Liberian number for females were very small. So we were also challenged there. It is against that backdrop that today UNSA funds coming in to help us recruit more females. We'll do our best. We're going to show you that these monies will be used for the purpose intended. We'll do our best to ensure that females' participation in the next recruitment will be a priority. I have gotten a direct marching order from the minister that we should do exclusive female recruitment. Exclusive female recruitment is something that we're going to introduce for the first time, meaning that we want to take more females from 7% and we want to raise that number up to something good. How do we do that? We need this kind of money, not to build house, but to go all in the counties and recruiting these females. There are many ways we can do it so that they can come in.
To this development, the government of Liberia has broken grounds for the construction of the US $3.2 million 10th Judiciary Sacred Court complex in Vonchema, Lofa County. Speaking during the ceremony, Vice President Jeremiah Cohn described the rule of law as foundation of democracy, noting that democratic governance cannot survive where the rule of law is weak or undermined. He stressed government responsibility in accelerating the construction of judiciary infrastructure nationwide, noting that strong and independent courts are essential to sustaining peace, justice, and democratic stability.
That is to tell you that could be another happy in another country. And that is why, as a government, we must speed up with this project across all 15 counties. And I think the Deputy Speaker sitting here and the second person in the legislature, you appropriate money. And here we're talking about $3 million to a complex, $3.2 million. Maybe we can do 3 or 4 in the area. It breaks down. There is no democracy. We only have a president. We basically say in this country when rule of law broke down here in the 90s, up to 2006 before the rule of law returned. And in this Lofa County where we stand today, the people here know what happened here. And so that's why we cannot go back to those days. And for us to not go back to those days, we must make sure that those things that support democracy We must get them done.
Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, Chief Justice of Liberia, Yamin Bwezi, disclosed that the importance of judiciary independence, stressing that true independence of the judiciary cannot be achieved without adequate infrastructure. According to him, the judiciary cannot function independently while operating from rented and privately owned facility.
The judiciary has to be independent. But right now, for instance, in Kenya, the local government are giving notice to the second court. They are not saying move it, so we want to run away our place. So they are saying they're trying to do it. We can't say the judiciary is independent when we are stepping in somebody's house. Our law says the only person that we cannot dare to put is the president. The law is just signing with the vice president to ensure that the court has authority over any all persons independent. Do that independently. We need our own place. That is the reason why we have a strategic plan that calls for building a modern judiciary complex throughout the country every year. We have one already erected in Lima County where it's complete. The graduate quarter, the resident quarter, all the courts are there. So when you move to Lima now, you don't have to be with them. You go there, it's equal. You don't go there. Actually, everything is there. So this is the same thing we are going to do here. I will thanks especially the legislators who pay for this place. Of course, you have no authority. Because I told the president over here, Mr. President, if the market cannot pay for this place, we'll go elsewhere.
The Ministry of National Defense, in collaboration with the United Nations Women, has officially launched the ELS Initiative Fund project aimed at increasing the enlistment of women to meet their 50% in the armed forces of Liberia. Speaking at the launching ceremony, National Defense Minister Gauldan George disclosed that the project value $663,700 United States dollars will last for 2 years. Minister George added that the project could provide a timely and strategic opportunity to remove barriers that women normally encounter when they decide to join the armed forces of Liberia.
Women still remain underrepresented in operational, leadership, and deployment roles in the armed forces of Liberia. Women currently constitute a low representation, a little over 7% of our force. This is not a reflection of women's capability or commitment, but rather structural and institutional barriers related to deployment, eligibility, and infrastructure gaps. Social inclusion that are identified in the September 2022 Armed Forces of Liberia report on result of the measuring opportunities for women in peacekeeping operations assessment. In an international effort to address these barriers, on November 11, 2025, the Ministry of National Defense and the UN Women signed the SA Initiative Fund project. This project has a total budget of $663,791 United States dollars. Thanks be to God that the SA Initiative Fund for Uniformed Women in Peacekeeping made this project a reality. This project provides a timely and strategic opportunity to remove barriers that women normally encounter when they decide to join the armed forces of Liberia. Over the next 2 years, the project will support the armed forces of Liberia to strengthening institutional systems, policies, and gender planning, expand training and development opportunities for women within peacekeeping operations, build leadership capacity on gender equity, protection, and peacekeeping standards, and improve data systems to track the progress and ensure accountability. These efforts will enhance not only gender inclusion, but also the operational effectiveness and professionalism of our peacekeeping contributions. The Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia will take full ownership of this reform agenda. We will commit to implementing this initiative with discipline, transparent, and sustained leadership.
Delivering the keynote speech at the program, the representative of District 6 in Bond County, Mumai Briggs Mensah, encouraged young women to take advantage of this initiative by joining the AFL. Representative Mensah said the initiative will create the springboard for women to increase and contribute to the maintenance of security and peace within the country.
As legislators, as government officials, as partners in civil society, and as developmental allies, we must commit to supporting these reforms, not just in words, but in actions. We must ensure that policies are enforced, budgets are prioritized, and progress is continuously monitored. Sustainability change does not happen by accident. It requires persistent accountability and shared commitment. The women of the armed forces of Liberia, and to the youth girls across our nation who dreams of one day wearing the uniform, your service matter, your leadership is valued, and your dreams are legitimate. The launch of this initiative send a message that Liberia believe in your potential, invest in your growth, and trust you to protect our nation. You are not only defending our borders, you are inspiring our generation of Liberia to dream bigger and in our, and to believe that no ambitions is too great. To the guys watching today, know this, you too can serve, lead, and make a difference. You too can be a force for peace, resilience, and progress. This initiative is not a call to action for all of us. It reminds us that building a stronger Liberia requires unity, purpose, and courage for everyone.
Also speaking, United Nations Resident Coordinator Christian Utunai disclosed that Liberia's selection for the project is intended to increase country's role in international peacekeeping, especially involving women. The project honored the theme, Strengthening Armed Forces of Liberia, Women, Active Participation in Peace and Security through the deployment to peacekeeping will last for 2 years.
Liberia being at the Security Council, it's not a matter of chance or accident. You earned it. For a country that had over 14 years of war, Ebola, COVID, and all these problems, and the fact that we've seen peace for the last over 20 years, we don't take it for granted. It's an example to emulate. Fact that we don't see guns on the streets, you've silenced the guns, and you've sustained the peace for that long. And you know that even within our region in Africa, there are countries where until today, every day has not stopped. Insecurity is all over the place. So the world sees and recognizes this, and the place at the international stage brings more responsibility to keep doing what you do, but also to shine a light to those who want to emulate the same, and for all of us to continue working towards peace. Thank you so much for the hope you give, not only to Africa, but to the world, as we see troubled regions. When we see peace, we see hope, we see development. So thank you so much for your service. The ELSE initiative, as been mentioned, is a flagship United Nations mechanism designed to support uniformed security institutions in identifying and removing the structural and institutional barriers.
The Coalition for Democratic Change 2023 campaign spokesperson, Councillor Kano Bagbala, has dismissed media reports suggesting that he resigned from the party. Councillor Bagbala, who was reportedly appointed by President Joseph Boakai to serve as the board of Grand Jide University following months of his public defense of the Unity Party-led administration, said he remained a member of the CDC. Speaking Monday on OK FM, he characterized the information as fabricated and intended to create division between him and his political institution.
My dear brother Clarence, no, I have not resigned from the CDC. I was also very surprised to see that there was a letter that was written on centrism letterhead. And as you know, that is forgery. Also to see that my signature was attached, a fake signature, that is also forgery and criminal. That information was shared with reputable media institutions who wrote stories, including the Liberian Investigator, based on that communication. And I don't know how they got it, but interestingly, none of them, who published reached out to me to confirm like you did when you saw it the first time. So I was very much surprised. And it's not about, resigning or anything. It's simply about, why would someone do this? Come up with fake information and attribute it to me? I don't understand. But no, I've not resigned, Clarence. I have not. Well, as you know, normally organizations like ours, we put out press statements, we put out press releases. I've done that before on behalf of the organization. A few are on our official Facebook page, but that gives nobody any right to take it and use it criminally, because what they've demonstrated is that they can also take our letterhead and engage in activities of soliciting, extorting money under the pretext that they're acting for centrism and using our goodwill. So that is scary. And I'm going to report the matter to the police, because those who share that information with the news outlets need to be found and need to explain how and why they did this, because it's criminal in nature.
As part of memorialization, deceased warlord and Professor Alhaji G.V. Koman, the All-Liberian Coalition Party has announced national memory activities at its national party headquarters. According to the party on Wednesday, hundreds of Liberians will be gathered at its headquarters to celebrate its founding fathers' contribution to education and peace in the country. Abraham Koman, chairman of the Alhaji G.V. Koman Memorial Program Committee, disclosed that permanent Liberian who Professor Koman interacted with during the Liberia peace process in Ghana and personality for the national and international circle are also expected to grace the occasion.
The circle of community leaders and ordinary Liberians whom Mr. Koman life has touched, both at the university and other aspects of our lives. They thought it wise to have a meeting of the mind to see if they can memorialize and create a view where Mr. Koman can be celebrated to a larger extent. They saw nobody to actually champion that, because of the just stirred and put stuff together for the group, decided to have me telegraph that on their behalf, and which I wholeheartedly accepted based upon my own consideration of the brother that we're talking about. This is not a political party situation. This is just community leader. Well, Mr. Kamara being an elder statesman in the community, the Sunni Cabinet Janet also another statesman, a stakeholder, Mr. Musa Beriti, another stakeholder. All of those folks, including Honorable Amara Kone, decided, so look, this is a worthy cause. This is a cause. Let's see if we can showcase this brother's action, what he's done for the student community, what he's done for
the leadership in our community as a whole. For all Liberians, his role in the peace process, something that has not given enough attention of late. I think this is all part of showcasing that. I spoke to Mr. Cummings, Benedict Cummings of the ANC. Folks have had the opportunity to also speak to the president's people in the president's circle, Madam Bility, some of those personalities that will make part of the listing. So there will be folks who interacted with Ahadi during his days at the ECOWAS Peace Talk. All of those trailblazing activity of Mr. Kuman, those that were part and parcel of that process will also be in attendance. Community be reset. All of those guys to interact with. And I hope, I'm praying that Dr. H. Brahman family can make it here to be the keynote speaker so that we can hear him again.
To our national story, the family members of Rachel Cotto, a 26-year-old woman who was allegedly murdered by her boyfriend in the Soclene community, has announced a USD 1,500 bond for anyone knowing the whereabouts of the accused boyfriend. Edwin Molba, also known as Bobby Ron, was accused of killing Rachel, his fiancée, and mother of his 2 children on January 26, 2026 in the Soclene community. The family also want the Liberia National Police to intensify effort to ensure justice is served. Speaking to reporter, uncle of the deceased, Joe Flomo, noted that they will not rest until justice is served in the mysterious death of their daughter. He emphasized that the USD 1,500 reward remain available for anyone who can provide credible information on the whereabouts of the suspect.
Josh Aroflomo, an uncle to the deceased, the girl that was brutally murdered by Edwin Molba, aka Omborom. This incident occurred at Soclene Bibele Junction on the 26th of January 2026. We woke up to this tragedy that befalling the Rachel family when her boyfriend killed her in cold blood. We were called to the scene. When we came, the gentleman, Edwin Molba, aka Bomoron, had already done the work, and the girl was lying. He answered that yes, your girlfriend is here. He just walked out, went in there, locked the door. The musical set they have at the house carried it to a very high volume so that the neighbors could not hear them. And so he used pots, iron, broomstick, and all sort of things to carry on the act. And he is president at large. We are appealing to the government. We are appealing to the police and all well-meaning individuals to help us in finding the perpetrator, Edwin Molba, aka Bomoron.
Edwin Molba ends our national news. A word for home. A rubber boat carrying 55 passengers, including 2 babies, has overturned off the boat. That's coast of Libya. The UN Immigration Agency says the only survivors, 2 Nigerian women, were rescued by the Libyan Authority on Friday. The International Organization for Migration announced on Monday the boat was carrying immigrants and refugees from various African countries itself. The boat sank after taking on water approximately 6 hours after departing from the coastal city of Zawaji in northern western Libya. The IOM says the most that almost 500 immigrants have been reported dead or missing trying to cross the sea from Libya so far in 2026. Well, on that note, this is how we let you go home this afternoon. Before we go home, these are stories we've been following on King's Newsroom. Former President George Weah re-echoed calls for national unity, discourages political division among citizens. Environmental Protection Agency turned as methyl acid spray in Jacqueline Bon County. EPA Executive Director Dr. Emmanuel Yuri Yapahulu says it poses no long-term environmental or groundwater risks. High Command of Armed Forces of Liberia raises serious concern over national legislature lack of budgetary allotment for the recruitment of personnel. AFL Chief of Staff Major General Davidson Foley calls for collective measure to enable that National Ministry of National Defense 600 personnel recruit yearly. Away from home, a rubber boat carrying 55 passengers, including 2 babies, have overturned off the coast of Libya, the UN Immigration Agency says. Many thanks to our reporter and correspondent for making this presentation a successful one. Kwame Brand brought you the news bulletin. For more news and information in King's Newsroom, kindly join us 6 o'clock this evening for another 45 minutes of news. I am Marvin Vi. Good afternoon from Moravia.